This is Star Wars now.
How much do you want for it? Just kidding, but not really.
This is the way.
I know this is no place for a child.
Wherever I go, he goes.
Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my spoiler talk review for The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1. This was a great season premiere. It set the tone, it got me excited, and it left me wanting more. Now, my plan of attack for this review is this: to review this first episode, and then when Season 2 is over, I'll do a spoiler talk for the entire season. So that is my plan for right now. Now, I loved the tone and setting of this episode of The Mandalorian. Right from the very beginning, right from that opening shot, where you have Mando and the child stepping out of the shadows into the light. It was epic, and it was just that thing that just really gets you excited. It's like, they're back! They have stepped out of their year-long hiatus, and we are ready to dive back into this universe, and it was so awesome, especially that action sequence right there in the beginning. And I love Mando's promise there in the beginning.
You must give me your word that you won't kill me.
I promise you will not die by my hand.
Cut me down!
That wasn't part of the deal.
Just absolutely fantastic. It makes you love that character all the more. Now, this sends him back to Tatooine, and what I like about his return to Tatooine, it's not just the Star Wars nostalgia feel and all of that stuff that it gives, and it does give that, and I like that. But what I really like is they went for the Old West vibe in this episode, sending him to that Old West tiny town with the Marshal. Like, it really felt like the Wild Wild West, but it definitely threw in that sci-fi element, so it had that space cowboy feel. And every time I think space cowboy, you know what I think? I think Firefly. And anything that makes me think Firefly makes me happy. I love Firefly, so I love the space cowboy vibe that this episode brought to it. It really did feel like the Old West, especially that little standoff there in the bar. Yeah, and what's kind of cool about that is all the rumors about Boba Fett, and he's alive, he's returning this season and all of that stuff. To have the Marshal step into the doorway like that, wearing Boba Fett's armor, part of it is like really cool, but the other part of me went, this can't be the reveal of him though. It's got to be more epic than that, right? And it wasn't. So you have this Marshal, played by Timothy Olyphant, who got a hold of this guy's armor. So he has the Mandalorian armor. And I love Timothy Olyphant. I think he did a great job as the Marshal in this episode. He really did bring that sheriff cowboy feel to the role. And he was a really fun character that I very much want to see return. But it was an interesting history of how he even got a hold of that armor. The other thing cool Timothy Olyphant brought to this is a little bit of the history. We get to see the fall of the Empire. And it's interesting to see how that impacted even like the smallest of towns.
That very night, the mining collective moved in. Power hates a vacuum, and most Pelgo became a slave camp overnight.
So it was a very cool history that they brought into this. So all of that was really cool, but then you have that earthquake, and as soon as I saw it coming, I went, no. Do they have a spice worm on Tatooine? They don't have a spice worm. That's a spice worm! No, it wasn't a spice worm. It's this dragon, this beast that they end up fighting, and I think they did a great job with it. Sure, it has some things in common with the Dune spice worm, but it's definitely not that at all. That was just the initial vibe I got when I first saw that. I was like, no way are they doing that, but they definitely do their own thing with it. And one of the things that I like is the fact that Mando wants Boba Fett's armor, because it's Mandalorian armor, so he shouldn't wear it because, you know, the Marshal is not a Mandalorian. So they make a deal. I'll give you this armor if you help me destroy this monster. And what's kind of cool about it is working with the Sand People. And I thought it was fun to get to know the Sand People better. It was already established in Season 1 that Mando can communicate with them, and that was kind of cool to see that. It was even cooler this episode to see that taken to the next level. In fact, what it did is it retroactively made it all the more tragic in Attack of the Clones when Anakin slaughters them. This time we really get to see them in their life. We get to see them work with Mando and make a deal. So it does a good job attaching us to them. So it kind of works backwards from me. And already it's tragic in Attack of the Clones when Anakin is, you know, decimating them because, you know, he's saying he took out their men, their women, and their children, and we really see it's the dark side taking hold of him. So that by itself is just tragic enough. But now in this episode, having spent more time with the Tusken Raiders and getting to know them, it kind of works backwards for me and makes that all the more tragic. So if ever I watch Attack of the Clones again, I will look at that scene through a different light thanks to this episode. So I thought they did a really good job bringing that together. And then they go to fight this dragon in the cave, and I thought that was just incredibly epic.
That's the great dragon.
And those little rocks.
That's us.
It's not to scale.
I loved it when they were trying to come up with the battle plan.
It's to scale.
Like, to me, that is just hysterical, that whole thing. That can't be to scale. How are we going to do this? Well, I volunteered your village. But it was very cool that they worked together. The village and the Sand People actually worked together to defeat this dragon. So they draw it out of the cave to try to blow it up, and it didn't even phase it. There's this part of me that was thinking, all right, Baby Yoda, let's use the Force now. Size matters not, so let's use the Force. Now, that didn't happen, but we got some pretty awesome jetpack action. So knowing that Mando got his jetpack at the end of the first season, it was very cool to see him use that again this season as they fight this dragon. And Mando, he came up with this great plan to destroy it. And I gotta say, it was intense, but you know Mando's gonna live. So here the thing comes, and it like eats him with the bantha that has the bombs on it. But it's like, no, the show's called The Mandalorian. There's no way he's dead and he's gone. But how is he gonna get out of this? And it was pretty epic the way he got out of it and blew that monster up from the inside out. So it was a very cool episode. I like the elements that it brought in. I love that space cowboy Old West feel that it gave. And then, as promised, you have that last shot as Mando, just like in Old West, the aspect ratio changes too as he's flying off into the sun sets. Suns set. Is it plural for suns and then singular for sets? Or, anyway, two suns setting. Really, he's not riding into them. He's riding alongside them. But it gives us this epic shot. Boba Fett lives. I'm curious, how do you survive a Sarlacc pit? But that's what this episode does well. We know Moff Gideon is out there and he's got the black lightsaber. We know we're going to get Cara Dune again here at some point. There is rumors of Ahsoka. I hope those rumors are true. I would love to see Ahsoka. And now we have Boba Fett for sure at the end of this episode. And now that Mando has his armor, you can bet he's going to employ his bounty hunter skills and he's going to track and follow Mando. So this leaves us with a lot of stuff and a lot of promise to look forward to in Season 2. Now, what did you think of this episode? Did you like it? Are you excited for the rest of Season 2? Let's talk about that in the comments. While you're doing that, hit that subscribe button to become a Durbanian, and hit that bell by the subscribe button so you're notified for my next movie review, ranking video, theological analysis, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.